Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to Synchronicity Web TV. I am your host, Nadiya Shah, and this is your moment of synchronicity. Well, today I get to celebrate with you the one and only Darren Star, not to be confused with the superstar music producer, although this Darren Star of Astrology truly is shining so bright in astrology. And I'm so very pleased to celebrate him with you today because he is also going to be part of the upcoming January 2022 speaker series at Synchronicity University with some truly outstanding astrologers. And right now, until the end of December 2021, you can choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class at synchronicityuniversity.com. So with Darren, how did I come across Darren? Well, it was a couple of years ago. And as you may know, because you've seen Cosmic Homegirl on my channel before, I'm such a fan of hers. And I got a notification on my phone that Cosmic Homegirl and Darren Star are now live on YouTube. And they are going to talk about Biggie Smalls' chart. And I just, of course, if you have watched me for a while, you know I'm such a big fan of the Notorious B.I.G. So I jumped on it and I went onto her channel. And there I saw this beautiful young man, not Darren Star, the music producer, but for me, it ended up being even better because it ended up being this brilliant up and coming astrologer. And really the way that he and Cosmic Homegirl did that chart really impressed me. And so he had stayed on my radar. And when the time came for me to choose the next roster of a speaker series for Synchronicity University, he was one of the people I wanted to be sure to reach out to. And so Darren Star has been doing so much, making moves in astrology. Now, the great thing is he's going to be teaching on a topic that's very popular, career and vocation in the astrology chart. Welcome, Darren. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It is a pleasure. And thank you for seeking me out, Nadiya Shah. It was such an honor and very surprising. And I was very flattered because I've been watching you for years and I've learned a lot from you, and I've applied some of the knowledge that I have learned from you to my practice. So it was very flattering and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thank you so much, Darren. That means a lot to me. It means a lot to me to inspire people, and especially to see you this really, I mean, I can't really say you're up and coming anymore because you were up and coming, but you really have been establishing your own space within astrology. And I've loved seeing your expertise just really shining. And so how do you feel about where you are in terms of your astrology practice, but also in terms of the impact that you're making in your own right?
When I first got into astrology, I got excited about it just like everyone else does. You know, when you first discover what a birth chart is and knowing your ascendant and moon sign and all of those things, it really wowed me. And then the more I learned, the more I've actually kind of retreated in a way, because I just been consuming myself with studying, researching, and practicing. And I like to practice a lot of different techniques. And a little quick advice that I like to give to people is to study one type of astrology. And if you compartmentalize them, like I study Hellenistic astrology, I study modern Western astrology, I study Vedic astrology, and I apply the techniques that I find that seem to work. And when you did ask me to join your university, to be honest, I was kind of nervous because I didn't know exactly what to teach, because I know so many different things, and I wanted to teach something that I find would be useful to people and something that I appreciate. And with this Venus retrograding in Capricorn, I wanted to honor the energy of Capricorn, which is a career-oriented, status-hungry zodiac signs, stereotypically, of course. And I have a lot of 10th house placements myself. And it just dawned on me I could teach about career or what a person's purpose in life is. And this class should help people with their interpretation skills too. Because a lot of the stuff that we learn, like if we learn foundational astrology, like what the planets mean, what the signs mean, what the houses mean, just blending all of those things, you can actually figure out what exactly what we are here to do in this lifetime. and hopefully you could turn it into a work-related field. And also this Venus retrograding, well, it's not retrograding yet, but it will soon. I think it'll have everyone just kind of reevaluating what our worth is in terms of what we do for work or what we do for a living. It can be relationship oriented too. And I know it's not going to be work related for everybody, but I'm just speaking on the nature of that particular zodiac sign. And so, and I just kind of noticed the energy around jobs and working at home due to the pandemic, and people are actually not settling for low rate paying jobs either. That's another thing I've noticed. So when this Venus retrograde happens, I think that'll be a lot more emphasized. It's really thinking about what we are worth being paid for. Because a lot of people in the world, the common people, are undervalued and underpaid. So I have a lot of Taurus placements too, so my mind is always on money. So I just felt like that's something that I feel like I can teach, like enhance your interpretation skills, and also showing you, wealth related things in the chart too.
Which is very powerful because we are on the earthly plane, like we're embodied for a reason, I like to say. But also, I think that this is the world we've created where understanding prosperity, defining it for yourself, understanding what it means to align with it, it is part of the world that we have created. And so I love that you are talking about career and vocation, but also understanding the alignment with prosperity. I've also found, like, when we're looking at career and vocation, very often people say career, but what they mean is purpose. And so I love that you said earlier, what we're here to do, right? Everybody is sort of interested in understanding what we're here to do. And it is the 10th house, and it is by exploring not just career in a practical sense, although that's part of it, but exploring what it means to align with your purpose and to understand that you are worthy of prosperity. These are some very powerful spiritual yearnings that we as human beings have.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, when it comes to career, the first thing that people look at is maybe the 10th house. And the 10th house does represent career, reputation, or it also represents your karmic obligations. And the word karma doesn't always have to mean something scary. It could also just mean the actions that you take because it is an angular house. And you could also look at the other angular houses too, like houses 1, 4, 7, and 10. And there's way more things to a person's career besides the 10th house or any planets that you may have in Capricorn. The sun plays a role with career too, because it represents vitality, energy, leadership, roles, and it has a lot to do with identity. We have a tendency to say, I am X zodiac sign. Even the people who don't know anything about birth charts, astrology, most common people go by their birth chart and they say, I am this and I am that. And we run with that. And we put so much emphasis on that and have an ego with that. That's what the sun is. It's ego, likes to shine. And, we like to be known for that specific zodiac sign, even if we don't even act like that zodiac sign. We may act out our other placements. And so if we have time, I do want to, go through a list of what the planets can contribute to as far as a career, just to give you a taste of what the class will be about. And then in the class, I will give you more specific techniques like interpretations like planet and sign and house. We will talk about aspects like oppositions, squares, conjunctions. I also dabble into what they call in Vedic astrology, planetary yogas. And what that word means is a combination of something that equates to something else, like 1 + 2 = 3 kind of thing. Like if you were to have the 10th Lord with the 8th Lord, you could potentially be an astrologer or something like that. Just something, little stuff like that, I will elaborate on in the class. And if you don't mind, I wanted to talk about what the planet signifies as far as career goes, if
Yes,
it's
please
prominent in the
do.
chart. If it's
Please
prominent
do.
in the chart. So I don't want anybody to make the assumption that, oh, if you have, Mercury in the 10th house, you're going to be an author. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It's just general. I'm just speaking in general what the planets are capable of if they signify something related to your purpose in life, your path in life, or what your karmic obligations are, or a career. So really quickly, I'm gonna start with the sun. So like I said, the sun does represent our leadership skills, or it also represents intellect or our spiritual enlightenment. So I'm just gonna glance at my notes really quickly. So with the sun, you could be in a high position of authority if the sun is prominent some kind of way. Or you could think of people who are like politicians or people who rule over people, because the sun is a ruler and it has to have confidence to, because sun is an illuminating planet. So it's also about eyesight and vision. And based on the visions that you have, the things that you see, you are able to dictate. So dictators, governors, people who oversee things and oversee people. So you have to have a strong leadership skills and be able to be independent and really exercise your individuality, because that's what the sun represents: independence, individuality, leadership, and also creativity. So creative projects, or even crafting, or self-oriented careers where you're not afraid to be on the spotlight, like an actor. Like you could be an actor or even a model, just something that has your name on it, or something a lot to do with you, your body, your health, or anything like that. So anything like that, producers, directors. And if you think about the nature of the sun, as it rises, that's when things come out from the dark, like animals, insects, plants, fruit. So it could be anything related to cultivating something, or agriculture, or farming. So careers like that, anything to do with your vitality, your health, sometimes something related to health, like doctors and healers. So sometimes that comes into play, but performing arts, anything that could potentially give you fame. And then with the moon has a lot to do with nurturing and caring. So being a nurse is a possibility, or something that requires you to care for something or someone, or nourishing. And the moon has a lot to do with liquids and water. So purifying something, cleansing. It's also a planet that could deal with agriculture. And anything to do with liquids, like working with water or liquids, or the oceans, like marines, or fishing, boating, or anything to do with females and women, anything that would benefit a woman, like trade and exchange, or some type of business that would be beneficial to women or children, because the moon represents mother and nurturing, taking care of their offspring. And this is a strange one, but transporting and traveling. And the reason why that is because the moon is the fastest moving planet. So it has a waxing, waning energy. So there's a rhythmic notion to it. So sometimes traveling or dancing, that's another strange one, but it has a lot to do with rhythm. So when it comes to dancing, you have to have rhythm and changes. So being able to have some kind of fluidity. Like Michael Jackson is a good example. He has moon on the ascendant in Pisces, and he was known for doing the moonwalk. So little things like that. So trade, buying, selling, import, export, or restaurants, because you're feeding the public, you're nourishing them with food. And then Mercury, I would say, has the longest list. Mercury has a lot to do with, in terms of career, you could be a writer, an author, anything to do with language, linguistics, acting, comedians, because Mercury can be a youthful, childish planet. So a lot of comedians come out of that planet, or a trickster, or wordsmith, or translating, like you speak foreign languages, or anything to do with editing, auditing, because Mercury is ruled by Virgo as well. So anything that will require you to, something that will require you to be in detail-oriented fields, or anything to do with speech, radio, podcasts, YouTubers, teaching or giving instructions, messengers, sharing knowledge, TV hosts, anything where you're sharing information, or even gossip TV, advertising. And this is another planet that could be associated with buying, trade, sell, accountants, mathematics, numbers, decoding something, problem solving. It also has a lot to do with skills with your hands or dexterities, and astrologers, because we are interpreting this, the symbols in the sky, or interpreting the lights, and we translate what we think these symbols mean, or what the planets are saying to us. And then with Venus, you could have a career, something related to luxury, jewelry, wealth, money, currency. It's another planet where you could have a career that benefits females, women, like selling lingerie or perfumes, or cosmetics, makeup, or beauticians, like haircuts and stuff like that. And it also deals with the five senses. So anything to do with the texture, like touching or feeling or smelling something, like perfumes, sounds, so music. So a lot of musicians have something going on with their Venus. Another planet that deals with rhythm and dancing, singing, fashion, beauty, art, the beauty industry, creativity, painting, because Venus is associated with aesthetics, or blending colors together. So getting creative with colors. So drawing comes to mind, painting, decorating, design, refinement. And this also does well with the entertainment industry or theater. And it's a planet of love too. So sometimes if your Venus is doing something kind of wild, like you could be in the sex industry, or even relationship counseling or matchmaking, like more of that Libra field, like matchmakers, advising, helping, stuff like that. And Mars, this is a planet of competition, wars, battles. So you could be into sports, athletics, fighting. And also the symbol of Mars is a circle and an arrow, like a sharp pointy arrow. So it could represent sharp objects. So anything that benefits men, like Venus benefits women, Mars benefits men. So guns, sharp objects, iron, metal, mining, construction, soldiers, armies, or the military, police, firemen. And if it's doing something, it could be in the health-related field too, because surgeons can come out of this because you're using sharp objects. So if you were to be in the medical field some kind of way, like urgent care, because Mars is about rushing and moving fast, you have to be quick and on your feet. So emergency type fields, or you notice that doctors can be a little temperamental because they have so much anxiety to rush and take care of like people who is wounded or cut or something like that. So a lot of doctors, you'd be surprised, they have a lot of Mars energy in them. So, yeah, engineers can come out of Mars, entrepreneurs, because Mars is a planet of individuality, independence, self, I, just kind of like the sun. And Mars can also strangely play a role with real estate, property, and territory, because Mars likes to, whenever it wins the war, it likes to put its flag down. So there's a lot to do with territory too. They like to own land, something with their name on it, very similar to the sun, with something with your name on it, something that says I, something that says this belongs to me. So landlords can come out of this, and also chefs and cooks too, because you're dealing with fire, and Mars rules fire, and knives, and sharp objects. So strangely enough, cooks and chefs come out of this. Hunting, exploring, like traveling, or hunting or conquesting or just dangerous environments in general. And if there's some kind of negative circumstance going on with your Mars, a person could potentially be a thug or a thief or some kind of criminal. Because Mars, at the end of the day, is a malefic planet. So sometimes if your Mars is not, like, let's say, in good dignity, you could potentially be some kind of underhanded person or a criminal, something where you take something that doesn't belong to you. So you take it for selfish reasons, because Mars does represent that selfish side to ourselves.
But you can direct the energy consciously. That's the great thing. I don't want people out there who have one of their children with this placement to go, oh my God, this, just.
yeah. So in my notes, I did put in parentheses negative circumstance. Like if you just exercise that negative side, you could actually turn it around too. Because I know someone who had some bad Mars. So I won't describe it because I don't want nobody to, say, oh, I have that, like, and I'm not that way. Or I don't want them to be fearful if they do become that way. Like this person that I know had this Robin Hood complex where he would steal from people's homes and then bring it back to the people that he loved. So his Mars was kind of weird. He had a weird Mars anyway. But on the good side, he turned it around, and instead of stealing from people's homes, he actually started working inside people's homes instead. So he has some Mars Cancer stuff and crazy aspects to it. But he did eventually turn it around where he did something good. So, and then Jupiter is a planet of abundance and sharing knowledge. So teaching comes to mind, mentoring, scholars, advising, counseling, coaching. And because it's such an enthusiastic planet, they are very good promoters, or that's why they do well with advertising, because they're good at promoting something and making things, pretty big and vibrant and lively, and just in something that excites you or brings a lot of enthusiasm, makes you feel good, makes you want to get something, makes you want to buy something. So, and also because it's the opposite of Mercury in the sense of the signs that they rule, Jupiter is not a planet that deals with things to be so literal. So sometimes people who are influenced by that planet, they are very good storytellers, or they use metaphors to describe, something with some kind of meaning behind it. So they're good storytellers, but it's not always meant to be taken literal. It's just supposed to take the meaning out of it, if that makes sense. Do you get what I mean when I say that?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like they are good storytellers in that they're able to explain things. They're able to help you to feel whatever it is that they're communicating. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're weaving stories or not being straightforward. It means that they have a way of expression that helps you to understand.
Yes, exactly. So I don't want people to misunderstand me and say that Jupiter is some kind of deceiving planet. That's not what it means. It's actually a moral, ethical planet. So when I say storytelling, I just mean like something that's not meant to be taken literal. You're just supposed to get something out of that metaphor, out of that story, to help you understand the things that are happening literal. Mercury is literal. Mercury is very specific. Jupiter is not. It's just more about the bigger picture. And then Jupiter could also deal with financing or banking, treasury, or profiting something, lending, priests, preachers, or anything to do with rituals. Like, I feel like Jupiter is the law of attraction too. So just practicing positivity in your life, like speaking positivity, acting out positive things, positive words. So yeah, rituals comes to mind, or mentors, or people who write self-help books, or just sharing any type of positive knowledge and wisdom. Sometimes politicians can come out of this. And also because Jupiter has a lot, rules children, like producing children, it could deal with biology, or anything that would require something microscopic to see it. It deals with the law, so lawmakers, like anything that is moral or ethical. And Jupiter is more of a plus yes planet, where Saturn is more negative. So it's more like laws on the things that you are allowed to do, like saying, yes, you're allowed to do this. Yes, you're allowed to do that. And then I don't want to go over time, so I'm gonna just stick with the traditional planets, if that's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I will talk about Saturn last. So Saturn, last but not least, can deal with manual labor, or the kind of work that most people don't want to do. Like, it could be related to building, because Saturn does deal with concrete, tangible things. So building. It could also play a role with real estate, because you're dealing with tangible things like bricks and cement and things like that. So construction comes to mind, real estate comes to mind, factories, warehouses, or anything that has a routine to it, like clock in, clock out type of jobs. It even has the name Chronos on top of the little clock in, clock out machines, and Saturn is Chronos. So yeah, time clocks, working with the elderly people or sick people, or you're working for somebody else, like you're an employer, you're not the owner, like you're the employee working for somebody else. Servants and union workers. And the cool thing about Saturn, it strangely turns negative things into a positive things. Like it comes to that rags to riches story, where you come out of poverty, or you come out of the ghetto, or come out of a rough situation. So as far as jobs go, they could have careers that are related to recycling or working with diamonds, like anything that you could take from the ground, or something that's kind of worthless, because Saturn deals with things that are like worthless, or just eliminating things, because Saturn is about excretion and getting rid of the unnecessary stuff. So people who are influenced by that planet in terms of career, they wind up being maids or servants or cleaning jobs, those unglamorous jobs, though, but the necessary unglamorous jobs that need to be done. So like people who take out the trash, like garbage men. And Saturn is also a planet of judgment and criticism. So judges, people who are like critiquers, people who sit and point out flaws. Like even in the modeling industry, models are on the receiving end of judges. So sometimes a lot of models will have a Saturn Venus thing going on, because Venus is beauty and Saturn is the judge. So sometimes it could play out in that way. So whenever you think of Saturn, always think of the turning coals into diamond metaphor. And also Saturn also is about dealing with burdens and carrying things, like carrying burdens and struggles. So people will have like trucking jobs, or transportation, or portering, or lumbering, anything that requires a lot of weight on you, like carrying a lot of weight, carrying a lot of stress, carrying a lot of things on top of you. And you know how Saturn is the traditional ruling planet for Capricorn and Aquarius, like the man carrying a pitcher of water. It could also represent like a person who's like a servant, like a waiter, but it also represents, carrying something really heavy for the sake of other people, because Aquarius is a working sign in the sense of that benefits people in society. That was more the traditional point of view of Aquarius. So yeah, so that's pretty much it.
For the traditional planets, yeah. So I don't want people to feel too left out. I know we have a little bit of time left. Can I ask you, maybe just use a few key words, just touch on if you have an outer planet. And so we're talking about planets in the 10th house here, right? Even though you could have this planet kind of active or an aspect to the midheaven, focusing more on planets in the 10th house. Can you give just a few very quick keywords for Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto? Because I know people are going to ask.
Yeah, they are. Okay. I'll squeeze it in. So with Uranus, I noticed these are my own observations, but anything that requires new inventions, like a new thought, a new idea, um, Uranus, the way I look at Uranus is that it's not a visible planet, but some people say that sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. And to me, that speaks volumes on the nature of Uranus, where the nature of Uranus is temporary. So wherever Uranus is in your chart, that portion of your life is like temporary. Like if you have a Uranus Venus conjunction, then relationships are usually quick or short-lived, short-circuited. So electricity comes to mind. So the internet, technology, modern technology, mostly labs, scientists, technicians, and also as a planet of independence and individuality, kind of like Mars in a way. Only Uranus is a little bit more on the kooky side or the weird side. So freelance type of careers or things that are kind of unorthodox, but also where you would want individuality in space. So a lot of entrepreneurs come out of this, where you be your own boss or be some kind of innovator. So I really couldn't find too much with Uranus, but those are the kind of things that come to mind. So so yeah, we kind of live in a world where we utilize modern technology every single day. So internet, electricity, things like that come to mind. Neptune, anything, I would say magicians, anything that creates an illusion or delusion. And I know Neptune gets a bad rep for being deceptive, but sometimes Neptune could also be healing in the sense of not dealing with the burdens of the stress of reality. So sometimes I've noticed people would be in the field of drugs, like medicine, not always drugs like getting high or anything like that. Sometimes it could play out that way, but in another way, sometimes I've seen it play with pharmaceuticals or anesthesia, just anything that takes you out of reality. And sometimes that could be a good thing, like anesthesia. No one wants to feel what's going on during surgery. So I feel like Neptune is beneficial in that way. And also dealing with liquids, chemicals, oceanography, photography, so cinematography. So I feel like people who have prominent Neptune positions are usually in the film industry, movies, anything that creates special effects, because movies have a lot of special effects. So what you're seeing on TV is not necessarily real. So Neptune can be played on a positive way like that. So anything that where you're utilizing your fantasy, your dreams. Sometimes I notice people will be into graphic design. Anything that's not necessarily tangible, real. And this is another planet that is not visible to the naked eye. So it's nothing that you can get your hands on. And I heard an astrologer say one time that Neptune doesn't necessarily rule the drug itself, like the tangible drug. It's just the state of mind that you're in. Being high off of some drug or alcohol, or just that state of mind where there's no clarity. And sometimes it can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how it's placed in the chart or what kind of aspects that you're having. And then with Pluto, I would say research-oriented fields or investigators or anything where you're finding out secrets or taboo subjects or dealing with death and longevity related topics like death and rebirth, or maybe doctors who deliver babies, like stuff like that, espionage, psychology, taboo subjects, sex related work. Sometimes I've had clients where Pluto was heavily involved with Venus or Mars, and sometimes they'll be in the sex industry. So Pluto can be very just things that are like in the dark or behind the scenes. Saturn can play a role with like being behind the scenes too. So they're kind of related as far as like they're similar in the sense of having careers where you're behind the scenes or dealing with death, like morticians and stuff like that. So Saturn and Pluto are kind of similar on those topics, dealing with death, dealing with dead bodies and stuff like that.
Thank you so much, Darren. That was really amazing. I love that you gave people sort of a precursor, and we've learned so much about planets in the 10th house here. Imagine what more you all could learn by taking this incredible course with Darren Star as part of the January 2022 speaker series at Synchronicity University. Some of the most brilliant minds in astrology today, including the one and only Darren Star. There's so much more to learn about career and vocation in astrology, but I'm so glad that Darren had a chance here to really help us to understand some of the foundation and what he's going to be building forward from, where it comes to understanding career and vocation in the astrology chart. Remember, if you sign up before the end of December, you can choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate to learn such quality astrology from the likes of the one and only Darren Star. Darren, thank you. I'm so happy that you are going to be teaching at my school. I just celebrate you, and I celebrate your successes. I'm so proud of you for all the gains that you've been making over the last couple of years that I've been following you, and just really keep going, keep shining. You really are doing wonderful things in astrology.
Thank you so much, Nadiya. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure, Darren. I send you very big hugs. And thank you to everybody out there. And until we connect again, take care. Bye.
Bye.